I noticed that we already have a super chat, so you get the first inaugural super chat button. Press of the day. But I haven't been able to see what it is yet. At least you'll get that in a minute. But hi, everybody. How are you doing? I got to tell you, I am super excited about what has happened since last week. If you guys hear that little sound, that is our swing for the baby getting going. So let me know if that's troublesome. I'll become the swing otherwise. Then you can watch it instead of hear it. But so as you know, starting a business that centers around group activities and having lots of people together in a relatively small space to hang out and see rock and reptiles and to learn about reptiles at this particular moment in history has been terrible. It's been a terrible idea. And I was honestly, before last Friday, it was kind of the first time that I was starting to think, at what point do we have to pull the plug on it? It was because it's just like, not only is it not open now, and it hasn't been open, at all. I don't even know when it will be possible for it to be open. And so I was really starting to feel like, I don't know if we're gonna make it with this. Like I love it. It's such a good dream, and I feel like it's so important, but it's, I didn't know if it was gonna make it. And then, well, Jason is really the one that made this happen. He put everything together so that we can do face-to-face meetings with you guys anywhere in the world. And a number of you have already responded and signed up and come and visited, and I've gotten to meet you guys, and it's been unbelievably spectacular. Like, I am so excited about it. I have had such an incredible time with all of you that I've met so far. And I got to tell you, before the first one, our first one was on Monday of this week. Before that, I was feeling kind of nervous, like actually very, very nervous. I don't get nervous really necessarily before these live streams anymore, because I know what to expect, and I don't get nervous. Oh, by the way, I have a cool creature to show you guys. But I know what to expect from these live streams. I know you guys are amazing. I know you guys have awesome questions, and that the live stream is going to be a lot of fun, and that we are going to, that we're going to get to talk about some awesome stuff. And so I don't worry about it. But I don't know, the first face-to-face, it's like, what am I going to talk about for an hour?
That's not hard for you.
It's not, but at the same time, it's like, how do I make it entertaining and fun? When I do presentations in person, it's really clear to me, because people are getting to see animals and touch them and stuff. But like, is it the same over the internet? I don't know. And what I've realized as I started doing these, and really like after the very first one, I was like, this is going to be amazing. And every single one has been so much fun, because as it turns out, you guys are all awesome. You guys are like the coolest people in the world. And what I'm realizing, and I watch YouTube channels myself, people that you see on YouTube, especially you guys that are here in the live streams, these are like your friends that don't know you back. And so like, you guys know me, and I get to know you guys a little bit through these live streams, but it's not the same. Suddenly, when we're doing these face-to-face chats, it's like I get to know you just like you got to know me. And a lot of the most fun part about it is I get to see your reptiles and just learn about who you are as a person and talk about your awesome hobbies, because even outside of reptiles, you guys have awesome, rad hobbies. And I'm very interested in all sorts of things. And so it's been so much fun getting to know you guys. It's made this all feel more real.
Clint has called me after every single call.
Yes,
after every single one, he's like, "That went great," and he tells me all about it and who they talked to. Remember, Ireland. Is it Amar? Or, Amar.
Yep.
From Ireland, and Katie, maybe from California. Is it Katie?
There've been from California specifically. I'm not sure.
I don't remember, but a bunch. She calls me after every single one.
Yeah, I do
One
call it
of
after
you
everyone.
Is went into medieval clothing and stuff, so he tells me all about it.
That was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're super fun.
And I get so excited, so I have to call Alicia up after everyone and tell you about how cool you guys are. And it makes it feel real, you know. When I teach students face to face and stuff, that obviously feels real. It's real and it's cool. You know, when I go do an event, that's real. In some ways, though, the whole YouTube response, like, you guys are so nice, but it almost, you know, it's like stuff I see on my phone, and it almost feels like I'm doing this in a video game or something. You know, it's like The Sims 3, my real life, and.
But it's real, and you guys are awesome, and it's been super duper fun.
That's exactly right. As I get to meet you guys and really talk to you one-on-one, it's like you guys are all real people, and you're all amazing, and you've all got a great story. And what a fun thing to do during quarantine, especially. You know, this is a time when we're not getting to hang out with the people we normally hang out with. And suddenly I get to hang out with all of you guys. It's been just a miracle in my life. And I'm all of a sudden, it's like I feel like we're gonna make it with the reptile room. You know, it's sort of the biggest thing that I don't know yet is it's just like, are the people that are signed up right now, are they the only ones that are ever gonna sign up, or is this something that's gonna keep going? But if it keeps going during this quarantine like this, like, we're gonna be okay and we're gonna make it. And you know, and then on top of that, like last week, you know, we were just overwhelmed by your kindness with all the super chats and just kind, encouraging messages. You guys are the reason that we're getting to live this dream, and we're hoping that we get to share all of it with all of you guys, because you're what's made this possible, and you're incredible, and we love you. And Jason, do you mind putting a link if they would? Okay,
yes.
He's been throwing the link in there. I just want to make sure if this is something you guys want to do, I really want to get to meet you. I love it. You know, and I'm happy to show off animals. You know, Gus has come out and visited a ton of people.
Peruvian longtail.
Yeah, I've been getting the Peruvian longtail boa out a lot, which I haven't been doing for a while. You know, it's got a pretty good feeding response, and I just haven't had a lot of time to mess with her. But I've been getting her out to show to a lot of people. And you know, the first time I got her out with a snake hook, and then after that, like, she's just been delightful. And I'm getting the false water cobra out to show people.
I want to get to these super chats.
Okay, I got to get to super chats, but I'll probably circle back around to this subject. I'm just so excited, and thank you guys, and I have loved it, and I'm having the greatest time, and I can't wait to meet more of you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Super chat. Wait, that wasn't planned.
Now you do one.
Super chat.
Super chat. That's a triple.
Okay, this is from MMMT82. Could you please do a full video? Oh, and they sent $15. Thank you so much. That really helps a lot. So thank you. Could you please do a full video on Russian tortoise care? You briefly mentioned them in other videos, but didn't go into much detail. I love you and your show. Yes,
we will for sure. So I will tell you my situation with Russian tortoises. I have a Russian tortoise. It's a rescue, and when I first got it in, it was in kind of rocky condition. It still has overgrown claws and an overgrown beak, and so I'm going to need to trim those in the near future. And you know, I kind of was waiting for it to get its strength up before I even put it through something that stressful. He's actually doing great now. His skin was all dry and like hard, rigid skin, and you know, he's starting to shed that hard, crusty skin off, and he's nice and smooth and perfect underneath. He's gonna be beautiful and wonderful soon. And so when he's all ready to go, that's probably when I'll do it. Houdini, who is the Russian tortoise that was in our previous videos, he is actually living down in Texas now. And so that's a bit of a drive for us. So I've been kind of waiting on having good access to a healthy looking Russian tortoise to show you guys. But we will do that one for sure. Yes. Is that the whole question?
Yep.
Oh,
he loves
yeah.
You and
thank you so much for your patience with that one. I know we put out our top 5 with the turtles a long time ago, and we still haven't covered a lot of them. Another thing with the turtles is just that a lot of our turtle videos haven't been very popular. I love turtles. What I have with me today is a turtle. But so, you know, in some ways we've been slow to get them out. But the red-eared slider video, which I didn't think was going to be very popular, and it wasn't when we launched it. Not very many people watched it. It's been super popular for us. So Russian tortoises will have to do that soon.
Awesome. Rennifer said, "Hi Clint, hello from a fellow grad student in physics at CERN.
Physics.
Any advice for moving with pets? I'm getting a BP soon, and I want to bring her with me back to the States."
Oh wow. Okay, CERN. So you're not in the United States. That is going to complicate things a lot if you try to move that pet, just because you'll have to figure out what it's going to take to import an animal into the country. It is doable.
Laws and regulations and shipping.
Yep, almost certainly what you're going to have to do, you know, go through the proper channels, and what you're going to need to do is ship it to yourself. Okay, so you know, you'll on the day that you fly out, sometimes you can bring them on airplanes, but that's going to be tricky. You know, probably the best thing is just maybe even contact the breeder and say, when you need to ship something to the United States, an animal, how do you do it? And go through those channels. It's
a good idea.
Tricky and expensive though.
Yeah. Anime Freakzoid 01 sent $10. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hi Clint, I was inspired by you to get my first reptile, a male bat, a Mexican black king snake. Any suggestions? Any name suggestions? I've been trying to think of something Spanish/fantasy inspired names.
Okay.
You speak Spanish. What's some good Spanish names?
A ver. La medianoche.
What's that mean?
Midnight.
Say it again.
La medianoche.
And you have to say it every time, just like that.
Así se tiene que decir.
Okay. Thank you, Anime
Zorro. Soros.
What does that mean?
Zorro.
Oh, just Zorro.
Yeah.
Zorros. Okay.
Yeah.
Liz Olson sent $15. Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you very much.
You guys are such a positive influence on the world. Can't wait to video chat next week. Thanks for all you do. Awesome!
I can't wait to meet you.
Yay, Liz!
And thank you for saying stuff like that. Like almost once a day, I get a comment where somebody is like saying that I'm the Bob Ross or the Mr. Rogers of reptiles, and they're like, and I don't mean that as an insult. And I'm like, how could I possibly take that as an insult? Those are just, I'm just like, you are like one of the greatest people that's ever lived. I'm comparing you to one of them. I'm like, it just makes me feel so good. Thank you guys. I really hope that we are something positive for all of you, because you guys are something really positive for us.
Yeah. Anime Freakzoid 01 with Zorro.
Yeah.
Said, also, I'm having trouble keeping one side cool. It's been very hot, and the air conditioner doesn't do much.
Okay. Honestly, if your entire enclosure is really hot, you might want to unplug whatever heat source you have on that enclosure and let it cool down. Mexican black king snake can probably handle some heat. You know, it's better than if you had New Caledonian geckos going through that or something. But air conditioning is going to be important. Find a place in your home that's cool. Like if it's hot, if it's too hot for the snake, in most places, find the coolest place in your house and keep it there for a while.
Awesome. Let's see. Clinton 1978 sent $10.
And their name is Clinton?
Clinton 1978.
Nice.
I don't know what that means. They said $10.
Thank you.
It's a pair flying through space.
Ooh, a space flying pair. I'm a huge fan of that.
Then they sent $5 and said, hoping you do a show on shingleback skinks. Love all your content.
I'm hoping I do a show on shingleback skinks as well. They're a bit hard to come by here in the United States, but I'm obsessed with them. So I would love that.
Yeah. We saw some in Australia, didn't we?
We saw shinglebacks in Australia, and I saw a shingleback at Tinley in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we saw them in Australia, and I was so excited.
Yeah. Sherry LBW, she's the one that sent you the Gaboon paper.
Yes.
She sent $5. Thank you, Sherry. She said, looking forward to a one-on-one soon. Need to introduce you to my first corn snake that I got this last weekend.
Oh my goodness! I'm sorry. What morph did you get? And if you say wild type, that's just spectacular because the wild type is gorgeous.
Zafarnazos sent $5. Thank you. This is so Salvador Dali had an anteater apparently. How are those things for pets? Do you think Dolly took proper care of his?
I have no idea. I didn't know that about Dolly. So, but I like anteaters a lot. I think as far as large exotic mammals go, they're not wholly unreasonable. That said, all mammals are fairly unreasonable, and large exotic mammals are very unreasonable. So this is a slightly less unreasonable creature. Honestly, if I were considering a large exotic mammal, one of them I would consider is a it's called a tamandua. It's an arboreal anteater. That said, I'm not strongly considering one anytime soon because large exotic mammals are for people who either have tremendous resources or are a little bit mad.
But do tell them the exotic air quote mammal that you want.
Oh, of all exotic mammals, the one that I want so badly is a Virginia opossum.
He's joined like 18 opossum groups on Facebook and just looks at their pictures all day and is like, "Y'all come over. I'm dead asleep. Leash, you have to see this opossum. It's so cute."
They're adorable.
An opossum badly.
I love opossums. I think opossums. So there's so much to love about opossums. Is it okay if I just talk about opossums?
We have super chat.
Opossums it is. So opossums, they're so great. For one thing, they're marsupials, which makes them really excellent from an educational standpoint because I get to talk about the metatherian, choriovidaline placenta, and their pouch and all that goodness. On top of that, they're a creature that most people think that they hate, and then it turns out that they're adorable and wonderful, very much in the same way that many reptiles are. And so, they're one of those creatures that you show it to somebody and they're like, "I thought I hated this. Turns out I love it." That's the kind of thing that just changes people's perceptions so quickly because, it's one thing to find out that something that everybody loves is something that you love too. That teaches you nothing. Finding out that you love something that you thought you hated makes you wonder how many other things out there that you think you hate are actually wonderful.
Good job. That was nice and precise. I'm proud of you. That was cute. RGO sent $5. Thank you. Said, "Hi, Clint. I'm the one who asked for a gliding lizard video a few streams ago, and I did mean Draco Volan. Super happy that the reptile room is okay now."
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. Thanks to you guys. And yes, I would. Some people are starting to have success with Draco Volans. So I think we probably said this before, but before it was just like this is a lizard you buy to watch die. Now there are some people having success. They're even being captive bred. If I can find somebody like that, there are people in the United States. If I can go, if I'm like in the area and could go see them, I would definitely make a video on them because they're amazing.
Yeah. Natasha Peterson said, "Hi, I'm from the UK. I can't keep herps at the moment, but I love to live vicariously through your channel. Hopefully we'll hang out in a virtual one-on-one session too."
I would love that. I actually, in this last week, we got to talk to several people from the UK, and it seems like they were all in kind of the same boat. That it sounds like it's kind of difficult keeping reptiles over there because it's kind of a fringe hobby, and it's difficult to get to places to get supplies and things like that. So I'm glad that we give you some access while the hobby grows over there, and hopefully we do kind of change perceptions of what this hobby's about, and hopefully that helps people like you in the future.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see, KPXX said, "Thank you for all your great content. I'll be adding a crested gecko to my reptile room soon. Any advice before I collect in a few months?"
Oh, get one that's healthy. If you ever have any ambitions of breeding or if the look of the gecko is very important to you, one of the things that I can tell you is be sort of picky about the structure of the gecko, which means like, how nice the crests are and stuff like that. And talk to the breeder. Just make sure it's a healthy, good animal. But they're wonderful, wonderful pets, and I'm super excited for you. In fact, I'm going to be building in the near future some new crested gecko enclosures, and they're going to be what I'm doing a total experiment with the way that I'm building them. But one of the great and I mean it's not what I had planned, but with the reptile room, originally I wanted to put all this money into these just amazing enclosures, but I realized like we don't have that money anymore, you know, and so what I'm wanting to do now, like I want to build enclosures that are amazing, but on a budget. And I realized that is something that probably is more relevant to more of us than would be the opportunity to build some giant zoo quality enclosure. And so, you know, I've got some really cool plans for crested gecko and other arboreal species enclosures that I'm going to get working on here very soon.
Beautiful, sustainable, and bioactive.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Lynx, this is a great question. I love it. Said, do female bearded dragons have beards?
Yes, that's a very good question. In fact, my female bearded dragon that had all the babies in this last year, her name is Lehi, which is the bearded woman from The Greatest Showman, and they've definitely got beards, and they use them. You know, if you especially if you take her out natural sunlight and show her your face for the first time, she'll probably beard up, and they're not as territorial as the males, but they've totally got the beards.
Awesome. Dragon Fan 0021 sent $10. Thank you so much.
You guys are incredible.
My name is Hillary Yu. Oh, thank you, Hillary. I hope you received the fan gift I mailed you. It should have arrived today. Thank you for everything you do. I
haven't received it yet, but if it's arriving today, we will have it by next week.
Next live stream.
That's exciting.
Hillary. Ellen Miller sent $10. Thank you, Ellen.
You guys.
Got my first snake bite this past weekend.
I saw this one scroll through.
From a baby corn snake. Feels like I'm officially in the club. I love watching every Friday.
You're now in the club. A baby corn snake is a great snake to get bitten by because they're very willing to give bites, and it's no big deal at all. Though I will tell you, I just don't like getting bitten by any snake. I don't like getting bitten by crickets. It's so weird. In this last week's video, it was kind of neat getting your feedback because, like, I don't pretend to be somebody that I'm not with this stuff, you know, and I got a lot of nice feedback on the video. It's like, we appreciate the fact that you're not just one of those guys who's like, I don't even care if I get bitten by a king cobra, you know, it's because I do care. I would care a lot about getting bitten by a king cobra, and so would my family. And so, you know, there's you can't go through your life without taking any risks, but you know, there's risks that are unnecessary just to be tough guy on YouTube.
Awesome. Darian Hostetler sent $5 with no question, but then they sent $2 later on and said, "It's 70% okay for a corn snake. How do I lower it?"
It's probably humidity.
Yeah, that's what I look at.
That's, you know, that's kind of higher than they are going to be most places. It might not cause any problems, but if you can get it down, let's see. It seems like having too much humidity is not a problem I've dealt with very much because I live in the desert. And so I'm trying to think, you know, there's such a thing as a dehumidifier that you could get for the air. And some of you that live in humid environments might have better ideas. Other things might be just like a water bowl that doesn't spill very much. What else? A lot. If you've got a screen lid, or if you don't have a screen lid yet, maybe an enclosure with a screen lid. I don't know. So there's a few ideas, and if you have other ideas, check them in the chat here. That would help.
Betty Morgan sent $10. Thank you, Betty. I like this question a lot. Can you do a video about trimming the tortoise's beak and nails? I
thought about doing that. Is that a video you guys would appreciate? I know Camp Kennan already has an excellent video on how to trim at least beaks on tortoises. I intend to use basically exactly the same method that he used in that video, and so I don't know if it's a necessary video, but if it's something you guys would like for me to include, I'd be happy to include it. We could maybe just even have it as just part of our tortoise video.
Aurora Exotic sent $5. You suggested Simpsons to name my boa litter, but I decided on Snack Trek, Deep Snake 9 and wanted to let you know. Thanks for the positive.
Deep Snake 9. I love that. Growing up, Deep Space Nine was my favorite Star Trek series. Though I have to say, right now, Next Generation has taken over. And there are some of the newer ones that I haven't actually seen very many, if any, episodes. So, like, I haven't seen Enterprise or anything newer than that, which is strange. Someday, maybe.
Yeah.
Should I watch them? I don't know. Are they good?
Alex D sent $5. Where do Motley?
I saw somebody was concerned that I'd missed this question. Sometimes there's just a little bit of a backup.
Where are Motley boas from, and how would you describe their temperament?
Okay, so Motley is a morph of the BCI boas, and so they're going to be very, very much like other BCI boas in terms of temperament. I happen to love Motley, to my understanding, and I've never been into breeding boas. You might have noticed all of my boas are females because I want them big and happy and healthy, but I'm not really interested in breeding them because it's just not for me. But but as to my understanding, I think homozygous Motley is a lethal combination. It seems like they live for a little while, but then they tend to die very young. So that's
homozygous Motley means you're breeding a Motley to a Motley.
It would be an individual that got Motley from both parents. Okay. And so the heterozygotes are going to be the ones you're usually going to see, and I love them. I love Motley boas. Like I love the boa pattern anyway, and I think the Motley pattern is even more betterer.
Awesome. Kara Kamikaze sent $10. Thank you, Kara. I know it's your reptile room, but could you do a best pet crustacean? Then bring a Halloween crab. There aren't many videos on them. I need to do a one-on-one with you. Thanks for being so fun and cool. I
actually was planning to do a video on Halloween crabs kind of right around the time that the world shut down. And so I do intend to cover them in the future. I actually had a whole top 5 planned with them being part of it. And that hasn't happened, and I'll have to see if I can get back to it.
That's exciting.
Halloween moon crab.
Yeah, Captain Moby 13 sent $15. Thank you. Thank you for the heads up on. Oh, I like this one.
Okay.
Captain Moby 13, you need to tell us your real name because I really like this comment. Thank you for the heads up on the blueberry muffin toasters.
Oh, did you get some? They're so.
They said they're glorious.
Oh yes, well put. Well put. My pleasure. You know, like I don't want I don't know how I feel about this. I want everybody to know about them except for the people that shop at my same Smiths.
Yes. Right. Stay away, those people.
Just enough to keep them getting them in.
There's more to this question. I have an Exoterra 24 by 18 by 12 enclosure. Is it too short for morning or neon day geckos? 24 by 18 by 12? Uh-huh.
No, that'd be great. That'd be a great enclosure. The main thing I discovered, if you saw our video on the neon day geckos, I was having an escape problem from the Exoterra tanks. There is a design flaw in their lid that allows something the size of a neon day gecko or a morning gecko to get out. And so do what I did in that video and fill that gap with some expanding foam so you don't have to find your geckos in your house. Good luck.
Yeah. Jacob Bloom. Oh, I recognize this name. Jacob Bloom sent 20 Canadian dollars. Hello, up there in Canada. Hey there, Clint. I can't stick around for the whole live stream, but I hope to book a one-on-one as soon as I can. Hope you guys have an excellent day.
That would be wonderful. I think you'd be our first Canadian. I've talked to quite a few people, especially in the UK, and people from all over the United States. But I think you'd be the first Canadian, and that would be delightful.
And I think Jacob is the one that wanted to come and take a class from you.
Ooh, yeah, do that. That would be amazing.
Big Birdie sent $5. Our first PP is on hold with breeder. We have 5 kids. How long can we keep it out of enclosure and AC before it needs to be put away?
That's a very good question. Probably depends on how cold the house is. But a lot of times when they're out of the enclosure, it's because they're on you. And so you might actually be keeping them quite a bit warmer than even their enclosure at times. So it can be quite a while. One of the things I notice, If the snake's becoming very, very restless, it's probably almost certainly had enough. Don't leave it alone for a couple days, maybe on each side of feeding, especially on the back. After you fed it, leave it alone for about 48 hours after that. But otherwise, I mean, I never get mine out for terribly long, but sometimes, sometimes I'll be chatting with somebody and I'll have one out for 45 minutes or something. And a ball python, I call them a movie snake for a reason. It's because they'll just hang out with you for a long time and not begin to panic or freak out or anything. But a little bit depends just on the personality of your exact snake.
When you did beetle research at BYU, you would have your ball python just like hanging out on your neck while you're...
Yeah, when I was doing my master's, I had my first ever ball pythons. And a lot of times, I'd just have a ball python around my neck or wrapped around my arm while I was working in my lab. It was delightful.
Yeah, it's way fun.
Forget about it. Or as a hat.
Amar from Ireland.
I know, Amar.
Glad to see you back on the live stream. It was a pleasure speaking with you on Monday. Question I forgot to ask. Do you have any opinions on olive pythons?
Olive pythons. So yeah, Amar is awesome, by the way. I had such a good time getting to meet you. Thank you so much for doing that. Olive pythons, they're really neat. That's a pretty good sized snake. So, but I think of the great big snakes, it's a really excellent choice. That'd be my main takeaway. We should do a video on them. I think I know people that have olive pythons.
Awesome. Llewellyn.
Okay.
Bloodbane, sent 15 Canadian dollars. Hi from Canada. Thanks to your videos, I've gotten my boyfriend more interested in reptiles. Cool with boyfriend or best friend. They just put BF.
Yeah. Okay. So it's your some friend.
Yeah. With my expanding collection, what do you think is the raddest ball python? Blue-eyed leucistic. Now that you have it, it's not quite as rad.
No, it's stinking rad. So, well, I happen to love them on because of beauty and because of the ingredients that go into them and that they were accessible. I would say the blue-eyed leucistic is up there. Pieds are up there. Pieds, I would say, actually, people get more excited to see a pied that aren't familiar with ball python morphs than even a Lucy.
I still remember seeing my first pied at an expo, and I'm like, what the freak is that?
That's exactly right. That's what everybody wants to know. What the freak is that? With a white one, they're like, oh, that's really pretty. But with a pied, they're like, something's odd here. And it's glorious, but strange, and what is going on? And so that's a good one. I will tell you the one that I would be the most excited to get, even though I have no mechanism to get this at this moment, would be sorry, I'm just going to do the wrong one. Gotta have it. GHI Super Mahogany, GHI Suma. It's a pure black a pure black ball python, which would look quite glorious next to a blue-eyed leucistic. Anyway, that's sort of my dream snake at the moment. But I have a GHI in my collection. I have no mahogany at all. And I would need 2 mahoganies, and one of them would have to be a GHI mahogany in order to make that. I'm not anywhere close to this. This is sort of one of those things. It's like, maybe someday it'll come down in price and I'll be able to afford to buy one, but not anytime soon.
The Flying Orman sent $5. Thank you. We're raising tiny dramatic American toadlets. Is that their name, dramatic American toadlets, or is it just American toads?
Well, I'm familiar with toads, American toads. I don't know if there's...
If their personality is that they're all drama queens?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even... If dramatic American toads are a thing, I would like to know more about
If the dramatic is not capitalized, I don't know. After they outgrow fruit flies, what's the best next feeder? Thanks, Kira, Paige, Aaron, and Moira.
Okay, so after fruit flies, and there are larger species of flightless flies that you can get, and also things like pinhead crickets, really small. Well, this won't be directly, but eventually, you'll get to really small dubia roaches. I know that my neon day geckos, they like to eat flightless fruit flies, but also they can take the smallest of dubia roaches. That's the great thing about dubia roaches. I mean, you know, if you have a dubia colony, you have teeny tiny feeders, and you've got colossal giant super feeders.
Awesome. Mark Atkins said, "Hi, Clint. Out of the snake species that you own, which one is the most work? Also, how is your blood python doing? Has he nipped you yet?"
Let's see here. Of all the snake species I have, which is the most work? Honestly, the false water cobra is.
That's what I was gonna say. Does he have to work with him?
Yeah, he's a bit of a he's worth it, and he's not a ton of work. Snakes are easier on average, but you know he likes to dump out his water more, and I'm doing more work with his substrate, and you know I give him he's got a lot of space. His feeding response is terrifying, you know, and a lot of times, you know, like when he feeds, sometimes I'm not sure if he's feeding or if he was just defending himself and wound up grabbing hold of it and then swallowing it down, because he tail whips and stuff like an iguana, which is wild to see. And then, you know, when he does these big strikes and he's all hooded up, it's pretty intimidating. So I usually get him out with a snake hook, and then he's awesome. And I can happily report I am yet to be bitten by a blood python. So
awesome. Darian Hostetler from before sent $10. Thank you so much for doing these super chats. It's really amazing. It supports us a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
He said, "I'll try the dehumidifier. Thank you for everything you guys do."
Yeah, let me know how that works. You know, again, I don't have a lot of experience myself with trying to get humidity down. I'm always trying to get humidity up. So yeah, if that works really well, I'd love to hear about it so we can help other people in the future.
Awesome. Let's jump over to Patreon for a minute.
Okay, Patreon.
How'd I do?
Great. Hulk, should I show them the creature I brought with me? Or should we do it? We'll do a few questions first.
Okay. C. Ryan Shyrock, a patron at Patreon. This got 3 likes on Patreon. "Hi, Clint. Any chance we can get you and the gang to visit the Pacific Northwest Expo after COVID? It would be great to see a traveling show with you, Emily, Dave Kaufman, and other YouTube reptile celebrities getting together for a massive collaboration. P.S. The people demand phylogenetics videos."
Oh, I want to make phylogenetics videos. I would love, honestly, like, if there's any way we can cover the costs of going, like, you know, I know, was it
the one in Maine?
It was, yeah, there was an expo in Maine.
But that's on the other side.
Yeah, they were gonna fly us up there, and like I would love to see the world. You know, one of the downsides of being a graduate student is you don't have much money for travel, and so I haven't gotten to travel that much, and I would love to see the world. You know, that would be an amazing thing. So if we can make financial sense, I would love to go. I mean, if I'm traveling the world to see expos, it's like Christmas every weekend. Yeah, I would have no problem with that.
And all of the patrons on Patreon are helping a lot with
that is absolutely true. You guys are the reason that we're able to do the traveling that we do, like to go out to Nerd and stuff like that. So, yeah, I would love that very much. As far as Dave and Emily, I would definitely invite them. And
Dave is funny. Dave and Clint very much like each other. Dave will call Clint and they'll chat for hours at a time on the phone, just chatting.
Yeah.
Like, "Clint, get over here. We need you."
I've been Emily and Dave. We're actually planning another visit. Dave's gonna come out, I think, with Brian Cusco. They're gonna come out here and we're gonna do some serious herping and seeing of awesome people. So
yeah.
It's exciting.
Thank you to our patrons at Patreon. Thank you, C. Brian Sherrock. Andrew Pearson said, "Hey, Clint, can you tell us about the major different types of venom and differences between them, as well as some examples, maybe?"
Okay, so the major different types of venom.
Yes.
So the big ones that you're gonna see a lot of times in especially things like snakes are gonna be neurotoxins and hemotoxins, and so your neurotoxins affect your nervous system, and so the main thing is that these are going to do to you is they're going to cause you to kind of cramp and seize up, And what usually gets you is if it affects your diaphragm in such a way that it doesn't allow you to breathe normally and you end up dying. It could also cause heart issues because these are all nervous system things. And so that's how you die. Hemotoxins, they're going to start breaking down blood vessels and other tissues, cause massive internal bleeding and hemorrhaging, which I've heard is not that fun. And some of them can cause other forms of necrosis, so that your flesh is disintegrating. Yes. Yeah, very disappointing. And then a lot of snake venoms are going to have some sort of a combination of these effects, because a neurotoxin is going to be much quicker at killing prey, but it's not particularly helpful when it comes to digestion. Whereas the necrotic and hemotoxin type venoms are going to really be very beneficial when it comes to digesting prey, which is a big part of the reason that venoms have evolved.
Awesome.
Is that the whole question? That
was some examples.
Okay. So neurotoxins, like we talked about in black widows, would be a good one. And then you get kind of a good combination in, say, rattlesnakes, which is why when you see a rattlesnake bite, you're going to get, it's going to turn like black and swell up and stuff like that. It's because you've got a lot of hemotoxins going on there too.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. Tori Rosencrantz said, any chance I'm they're going to make fun of me with how they say their names. I'm sorry. Any chance I'm getting a video on the Dumeros boa sometime in the future?
Yes, almost a certainty. Unless we get hit by a meteor or something and stop making videos, which in 2020, who knows?
Robert Watson said, hi, Clint. What are your thoughts on attempting a bioactive enclosure with semi-arid features? What do you consider the key points to focus on to set one up? I realized that I gave you my thoughts on the matter when we talked, but I never got yours. Is Robert the one that's into medieval?
No. But that was Mortimer. But so I mentioned the name Mortimer, and Leisha was like, because that's her maiden name. Let's see. What was the? Can you run the question?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on attempting a bioactive?
Oh yeah, semi-arid bioactive. I really would like to figure that out better myself, because I would like to do more bioactive for bearded dragons and things like that. Because I honestly, my goal for the near future with my bearded dragons is I want to set up an open-topped colossal enclosure for bearded dragons, with multiple high areas and basking spots and stuff, so that they can behave and very much like they do in the wild and run around. That's been a dream I've had always, but it's hard to get that kind of floor space for something like that. But it's something that now I really want to do, and I think we're going to do it.
Awesome. Kurt Kellner said, what colubrids have an all-white morph?
Which colubrids have an all-white morph? So you've got leucistic Texas rat snakes, which are, so lots of them have an albino, and that's not all white. That just gets rid of melanin. And then xanthic morphs get rid of your yellow pigments. And so a lot of times what you get if you have both an albino and xanthic snake is what they usually call it a snow. And so and that one is usually basically all white. Sometimes there's a little bit of some other pigments that are still there. So like, for example, there's snow boas. I think they call them moon glows. Though that might also have hypo in it. I'm not sure. Because the sun glow does. I don't know. Anyway. But there's hypo or albino, so snow. I think they just call it snow and boas. Snow boas, and then they've got snow hognose snakes, and they ask for colubrids, so boa doesn't count. Snow corns. So if you've got all those morphs going on, both are usually recessive, so it's sort of like a 4-gene snake to get it that way. And then as far as leucism, I mean, there are leucistic hognose snakes, there are leucistic rat snakes, and probably a number of others on top of that. But there would be a good start.
Do you need some water?
Sure. Albinism albinism and xanthism are not particularly uncommon morphs to occur, because basically all that has happened is some mutation has occurred that prevents the production of pigments. And so really all that has to happen is that any point of the code that codes for making that pigment gets corrupted, and then that pigment isn't created anymore. So that's why in some species too, like you've got various different forms of albinism, because it's just different breaks at different places in the production of melanin, and so it's really easy for these sorts of morphs to occur.
Show them that I need a bigger water bottle.
Look at this dainty little thing that Leisha drinks out of.
I'm trying to drink a gallon of water every day, and that's a little bit less than a gallon.
Isn't it adorable? There's really how we should have played this off is just I'm a much smaller person than you knew. Right? Like this is just a regular bottle.
Can you imagine? Let's see. This is Erie Road. Hey, Clint, does Gus ever sleep with you? Papa loves to sleep with me. Rarely does a night go by when he doesn't.
That is really cute. I've never attempted to have. Yeah, we currently sleep by a little baby. I've never let Gus sleep in our bed. Mostly because I don't think that would go over at all with the other people that are there.
That would not go over at all with the other people that are in the bed.
But yeah, Newt, you're right. That is just Hobbit me. That's how we do it.
Cythera, did you have the one-on-one with this? SCYTTRA. Do you breed snakes to sell? If so, how do we get on the waiting list? Yeah,
I often do breed snakes to sell. I've still got a few that I've held back that I probably should sell. Ball pythons. This year, because life has been so crazy, I didn't do any pairings. At least not yet. I may do some late season pairings. Giving your females a year off though can be very, very beneficial for them. So I gave everybody a year off this year. So I haven't really been focusing on breeding, but I do have a lot of females I'm really excited about. And now that I have a little more time, I will definitely be breeding in the future. I've got a Facebook page called Clint's Available Reptiles. I'll also try to let you guys know, like on Instagram and maybe on the community tab and stuff when I have stuff in the future.
This is a super chat. Alex D sent $5. Thank you, Alex. Do you know what the cone snail found on the coast of Australia is more venomous than the inland taipan?
Did I know that?
Yeah.
If I had to bet, I would have bet that it is, because taipan venom. Well, I have limited knowledge of cone snails, though I find them terrifying and amazing. So they have going back to our discussion of venoms, they have a very, very powerful neurotoxin. There's a report I heard, I don't know who was the one that timed this, but I guess a Marine picked up 2 cone snails on the beach, and they both shot him with their venomous barb in the neck, and he was dead in 4 seconds. No snake in the world is going to do that to you, not even close. Horrifying. So, in fact, in Jurassic Park 2, because we got to talk about Jurassic Park whenever we can. In Jurassic Park 2, Eddie Carr has that special. Eddie Carr is the guy who gets eaten by the 2 T-Rexes later, saving them all. He's the guy in charge of the technology. And he's on The Good Doctor.
That's who I thought.
So he apparently made it somehow through that. And then was on The Good Doctor. But he's got this dart gun for if they have problems. And he says that he loaded it up with the venom from that cone snail. And he reports that the effect of the venom is faster than the rate that a message runs down your neurons. So if you shot yourself in the foot, you'd be dead before you even knew you had an accident. I'm not sure if that's true, but you wouldn't have much time to do anything about the accident, which is why when Malcolm says, is there an antidote? And he's like, what, in case you shoot yourself in the foot? Don't do that. You'd be dead before you had an accident. You might know you had an accident, but you'd be dead before you could do anything about it. Sorry, Leisha. There's such a look coming right now. You nerd.
All right. Let's see. Amar said, one more question I forgot to ask. Is there any animal you wouldn't get for your own personal collection, but would get one for the reptile room?
Oh.
Opossum.
Well, an opossum I would totally get for myself.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I
In
would.
our house?
Oh, totally. We have a dog. An opossum's a way more reasonable creature than that.
Dear.
So I would say, yes, absolutely. An Asian water monitor would be something, or a Burmese python. These are the sorts of things I would consider having in the reptile room that I wouldn't really consider having in my house.
Awesome. This is an exciting question. I know the answer to this one. This is Sherry LBW again.
Yeah.
Have you seen the lily white exanthic crested gecko that Altitude Exotics produced? We have a video with Melanie.
But that's just a lily white.
Not the lily white.
So let me tell you about crested gecko morphs for a second. Okay, so there aren't that many single gene morphs in crested geckos. Crested geckos are highly variable, really polygenic in their looks. That's why you never really find two crested geckos that are identical. And you can't just breed them and be like, okay, I know my odds on all these things. They don't work like morphs do in other animals. But there are only two morphs that I know of. There's xanthic, which is almost certainly inherited as a recessive. And we've already discussed that today. Because there seems to be like an emergent theme of today. And venoms and morph melanin and other pigment affecting morphs.
Yep.
And then lily white, which is incomplete dominant, though the homozygous is lethal, again like Motley, because everything's coming together today.
I love how excitable you are.
I love talking about this stuff. It's the best. Okay, so the lily white it's essentially inherited like a dominant, and you would never want to breed two of them together because the homozygote is lethal, so you'd lose 1 in 4 of your babies. And so I have actually not seen it. I can imagine what it must look like, which is a gecko that's gray and white. And let's see, it seems like the eyes are a crazy color on lily whites. They're like black, I think. So that's got to be one rad-looking gecko. Should I just look it up? Should I look it up?
Sure.
Okay.
While you're looking it up, someone said, can you do a video on rosy boas? They're really underrated.
Yes, I can and should and will, because I do like them. I agree. Let's see here. Lily.
And after this, we should show them the creature you brought.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Lily white, xanthic. Okay. Oh, let's see. Let's see which one's the real one. And you said it's from Altitude Exotics. So I'm seeing their video. You can go check that out right now. Images, though. That's a lily white, 100% head xanthic. The one I'm seeing,
Show them.
I'm seeing xanthics and I'm seeing lily whites.
Do you know if sulcata tortoises have morphs?
Sulcatas? Yeah, I've seen some sulcata morphs. I think there's an albino, which doesn't really change the look of them very much, except for just making their eyes hypersensitive to light. But I will have to watch a video on that later. And there may be others as well. I've also seen some weird hybrids. Like I've seen reports of a sulcata redfoot tortoise hybrid.
What?
And those are two very distantly related tortoises.
Did it work? Or they
It appears to. Like, looking at the picture, it looks like a sulcata that's been photoshopped to have redfoot
That's cool.
pattern. Except I was hearing from people, well, like I said, that looks like it's Photoshop. And people are like, no, I've seen a number of them in person, and they're real. So, I don't know.
A jar of pickles sent to Super Chat. We haven't heard that button nearly enough.
I was told to move it away from the microphone so it's not as loud as it.
Who told you that?
There was somebody in the comments last time. Apparently, it was pretty shocking on the old ears.
A jar of pickles, and their picture is a jar of pickles.
No big deal.
Can you please tell me how you intend to review the black mamba without dying? That is one scary snake.
So I intend to review the black mamba without dying in the same way that I intended to review the king cobra without dying, which is that I intend not to be in the same room with it.
Promise your wife that you won't even go in the same room with it, and then hold it.
Don't know that I promised. I told her what my plan was, and that really was my plan, not to go in the same room with Lilith. Yeah, black mamba. That's an intense snake. That's a snake that might make Lilith seem not all that intense, which is just unbelievable.
Lilith is scary.
Yeah, she's
And
something.
all of the B-roll that I saw, which wasn't a lot, but she was always hooded. No matter where she was in her enclosure, hooded, keeping her eye out, just watching everything, watching what's going on the entire time.
I never saw her without her hood open. She's a serious snake.
Yes, she is.
She is not for taking lightly.
Okay, show the. Oh, I think we have. Nope, I think. Yeah, show them your creature.
Okay, so this is a creature that you just saw in this last video, but I thought we should talk about and just check out because he's great. Oh, I have an update too that might shock and disappoint Leisha. Okay, so why is he asleep now? Open your eyes. He was like this when we made the video too. He's almost never like this, but he's like, if I'm gonna be in that container.
He scared me. Flip let me feed him a strawberry head. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
And I was feeding it to him with big long tweezers, and he jumped out and grabbed the tweezers so fast. I'm pretty sure I screamed.
Well, he got the tweezers away from Owen.
Yes, he did.
But this is my smaller common snapping turtle. His name is Nipper, and I adore him. He has a very powerful feeding response, but he's actually probably even nicer than the big one. I gotta tell you though, in the video I announced the big one's name as being Bubba. I still want to call him Chunk. Still do. Today he was. I had him wandering around the reptile room for like an hour and a half, and
just wandering around.
Wandering around.
Look at.
He looks at everything. He went over. You can see this if you follow us on Instagram. He went over and just stared into Gary's eyes for a long time, for like an hour. They just stood there and just looked into each other's eyes and just hung out.
Do you think they were scared of each other?
No, because Gary would get the heck out of there or go into his shell or something. They were just hanging out with each other, and he just goes around and explores stuff. But as I was picking him up to put him away, I'm just like, I love you, Chunk. And I'm just like, that just seemed right.
Chunk does sound good.
I think it's his name. Chunk. So I think even though I have announced his name to be officially Bubba.
You have?
I did in the video with him.
Did you? Has that video come out?
Is there a video with it?
I don't think so.
We have a video that I have seen that has him in it.
Our live stream?
Oh. I think there's a video that I have seen that you have not, that isn't even the one for tomorrow. Because tomorrow's video is stinking rad.
What's tomorrow's video?
Oh. It's the most reptiles we've ever covered in a video.
Oh, yes. It's such a good video. It's so cute. I love tomorrow's video.
So I think I announced his name as being Bubba. We haven't released that one. What happened to it? Where is it?
What video is it?
Well, I can't tell them. No. Anyway, there might be a lot of videos coming up where I've already said his name is Bubba, but you guys will secretly know his name is really Chunk. His name is really Chunk.
Some people are saying hi from South Africa.
Whoa!
From Sweden. JP Me sent a $10 super chat.
No big deal.
That deserves a super chat. Did you just click it with your nose or your forehead?
What forehead?
Oh, good. I thought you did it with your nose. They said, okay, this is a fun question. Had an Anole hatch 3 days ago. Hitchhiked into my Crested Bioactive enclosure. It's in its own setup now, but what tips do you have to keep it healthy as a baby?
Okay, so one of the things is to keep it in its own enclosure. Make sure it's eating. I haven't had baby green Anoles, but with baby bearded Anoles and even baby night Anoles, a lot of times they're not eating very well. Look at that red dot from the super chat button. And so you have to assist feed them. That's going to be a nightmare with a baby green Anole. So probably just put a bunch of baby fruit flies in there, or not baby fruit flies, adult flightless fruit flies, and just observe it as best you can to make sure it's feeding.
Awesome. Catherine York is a patron on Patreon. They say, what is one reptile or amphibian you have not reviewed that you would like to?
So many.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot
you
of.
have lists and lists.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have lists all around the house that Clint's just jotting down all these reptiles that he's.
But for now, let's since we've already mentioned a number of them in this video, and this isn't one of them. How about the basilisk?
Oh, great one. Lisa Hennigan said, what is your opinion on cohabitating different species, such as I've heard of people having dart frogs and mourning geckos?
Okay, so we have a whole video on cohabitation.
You're putting that guy away?
Yeah, I don't have to. My hand was getting crampy. He's so great, though.
Crappy or crampy?
Crampy.
Oh, good. He was.
But so cohabbing always has risks that you don't have when you're not cohabbing, but it also, you know, there are benefits to it as well. And so I really lay out my thoughts on it in that video. But as far as dart frogs and mourning geckos go, they seem to be a pretty good pair of species to keep together. Again, my biggest concern with them is that the mourning geckos will harass the dart frogs, because the dart frogs can't really follow the mourning geckos where the mourning geckos go, but the mourning geckos can come to the dart frogs wherever they are.
Betty Morgan, a patron on Patreon, said, what am I doing wrong with target training my female tegu? She will rush to her target, even jump into the air to grab it. The target is a red ball on a telescoping handle. It is hard to get her to let go of the target to give her food. Even if I don't have the target, she will rush to me, jump, trying to grab anything I may have in my hands, grab my slipper toes, and try to tear off a piece. I must have done a step wrong, learning ideas on how to fix.
Okay, so obviously she associates the target with, she may not actually, she likes that target. She enjoys going to the target and attacking the target. She may be associating the target with food. What is not occurring so far with her is that she's only associating food with the target. And so I don't know a ton about what's going on, but one thing is you need to be extremely, extremely disciplined about not feeding her ever without her doing the target response first. The other thing is your target is something she can grab and likes, and that might not be the behavior you want her to do in order to get the reward at the end. You know, maybe you want her to do something like touch your nose to it. Honestly, with Gus, I only use my target through the glass. So he'll come up and he's doing his mouth and stuff against the glass, but he can't actually grab the target. And while he's focused on that, I can do stuff inside of his enclosure, and then I give him food, and it works really well. And then when he's not getting it, you know, I don't show him that. Well, if he's not getting fed, well, I show that to him every time he gets fed, and so that way he knows if he's not seeing it first, don't expect food, and just be really consistent with that would be my suggestion.
Yeah. Taylor Lashbrook said, "How is your BCL? Would love to see an update."
She's doing great. The BCI.
This is BCL.
Oh, stupendously excellent. I've been, in fact, she's been coming out for a lot of the one-on-ones that we've been doing, so it's been really fun. So yeah, especially if we get to chat one-on-one, I'd love to talk to you all about her and show her
the charger. Oh, there's two?
Yep.
We have two chargers?
We do.
What? I didn't know.
No big deal.
Let's see. Benjamin Bramble, 2 questions. What did you do your thesis on, and why did you choose that? Are you planning on still teaching in the coming years? I'd love to take class from you.
Okay, so my thesis was on the life history evolution using burying beetles as a model organism. And so if you go on Google Scholar, you can actually probably read my thesis if you want. And so that's the thing you can do. And then and then my dissertation was on teaching evolution and how to teach evolution so that people can accept it and without I guess, causing people to push back unnecessarily.
And are you planning on teaching in the coming years?
I'm scaling back my teaching a little bit in favor of pursuing this particular dream. But I intend to be teaching always. You know, I always, teaching in the classroom's important for me. And so I think I will always be doing that. And so hopefully you can come take one of my classes. That would be a blast.
This is cool. Rosario Veronica is the anime Zoid one.
Uh-huh.
So it was just the same question that we got in the super chats about the black Mexican king snake.
About the names?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So Zorro.
Zorro's a good one. Let's see.
Spanish.
Yeah. Voy a tener que pensar mucho sobre esta pregunta. ¿Qué puede ser?
Josiah Zambrin said, "Hi, Clint. I was in the market of getting a snake, but was looking for something that is not too fast to musk on me. I have never owned a snake before, and I've been looking into corn and milk snakes. If any other, what would you recommend?"
So the colubrid snakes are going to be the ones that are going to musk you the most. So corns and milks are potentially going to musk you. If you really don't want to get musked, boas and pythons are a great way to go. But they're not going to be terrible. And especially once they get used to handling, they're going to stop musking. If you love getting musked, though, get a garter snake.
Owen and his cousins found a garter snake in Grandma's yard yesterday, and the garter snake musked them, and one of the cousins, Liam, said, "Ew, does it smell? Is it putting its smell on me?" And I said, "Yeah, they'll musk a little bit when they're scared." And they were passing the snake around for everyone to hold it, and Liam was passing it to his little sister Nora, and Liam said, "Careful, Nora, it's a snake, but it's like a skunk. It's a skunk." And then
did you say it's a skunk snake?
Yeah.
That would be the best.
And then Owen was like, "You guys, I have to teach you how to hold it. You're not holding it right. If you don't hold it right, it will die." All the kids were just holding it kind of by the end of its body, you know, like how you would hold a worm or something. And Owen was saying, "You have to have two hands," and he was teaching them how to treadmill it. And one of the cousins was like, "Looser? Yes. You have to keep it nice and loose for it. And be calm. And use two hands." He was all about teaching them the correct way of holding this snake. It was really cute to watch.
I love that. I only got to hear about it.
Let's see. Merlin said, "Again, how is everyone doing, especially Clint and Alicia and your children with a baby in the midst of all that is happening in the world?"
We are doing really well. We've been really blessed so far.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are struggles. We've all had struggles and concerns and uncertainty about the future. But I kind of talk about this a lot. Kind of the bigger that you look at the world, the more problems there are out there. But the closer you look to you, the more power you have to control the world. And things are wonderful with our family, and we've been really blessed in this time. I certainly feel a lot, especially for people who are alone, who aren't with their families at this time. It's got to be really difficult, and that's a big part of the reason that we started doing these live chats or live streams and the chats now. Like, hopefully that's a little something that is able to bring a little bit of human contact back into your life and just really help you to feel special. That's something that I hope you all feel, is that you guys are all really special and amazing people, and you've got a lot to offer the world, and we're going through a really weird time, but it will end. This weird time will end, and we'll all be together. We'll never be the same as we were. And I'm hoping that we've all become better people during this experience, and that we appreciate each other a little bit more.
Yeah. We have one more Patreon question.
Okay.
And then you can talk about the live chats and how that's going, and then we should probably wrap up because she's starting to work.
Sounds good.
This is from Amber Nicholson, a Patreon. Said, "What is your favorite reptile?"
Oh, boy. maybe these. I mean, at least when it comes to turtles, I can do it more category by category that I can tell you exactly what my very favorite reptile is. But I love common snapping turtles. They're certainly my favorite turtle. Then my favorite crocodilian is probably the Cuvier's dwarf caiman. Either of those could potentially be my very favorite. When it comes to snakes, my favorite is the gaboon viper. That wouldn't be my first choice of pets. When it comes to lizards, I have a much harder time telling you what my favorite species is. I can tell you what my favorite individual is. That would be Mr. Gus Gus. But my favorite species, probably not black and white tegus. I think black and white tegus are the ultimate pet lizard. What would I like even more though than a tegu as far as a species goes? Gee golly whiz, I don't know.
Cashio said, thank you.
Alicia's just like moving on.
I was like,
my favorite Sphenodont is the Tuatara.
Robo Cashio said, thank you for your kind and thoughtful words, Clint. I needed to hear that today.
I'm so glad. Like, you guys are the best. I feel grateful for you every day. Thank you for all that you're doing.
Somebody said, can we see Gus Gus? And I want to talk to him just really quick about the virtual tours and what to expect, because Clint does the virtual tours at the room every single time. So he'll be at the house or wherever he is, and he'll go specifically to the room where he can talk to you there and kind of show you around. It's not done, so you don't see a lot, but you do see it. Mm-hmm. And then it's one-on-one, or you can invite whoever you'd like to invite, but it's just Clint. If you want to see Gus Gus, if you want to see an update on any animals, Clint goes and grabs them out. And when you book, there's a place to leave notes. Most everyone has left a note of, I want to talk about phylogenetics. I want to talk about breeding ball pythons. I want to see Gus Gus. And Clint will have things ready to go. And you get to hang out and see the room. And we've really, really, really tried to open his schedule. And as his wife, I've been trying to be really patient with him having such an open schedule. He's doing these one-on-ones all the way till 8 in the evening so that people from around the world can.
So we start at 8 in the morning and we go to 8 in the evening?
Yep. So they're really awesome. They've been really fun. Clint's been super excited calling and telling me all about it. And so if you are even thinking about it, bookmark that link and think about it, because I think it's a really cool opportunity. It's really fun and it supports us so much.
I'm planning to try to do them for a long time, and yeah, I don't have Gus Gus here with me because he doesn't live at the house anymore. But I can tell you he's already been out twice today to greet people, and he's awesome. I almost brought him here today, but maybe I'll bring him next week. I have an outdoor live event that I'm doing this evening, and so I thought Gus Gus was going to be spending enough time in a box getting transported around that I didn't need to bring him here right now. But maybe next week. And if you'd like to meet him one-on-one where he can see you back, there is now a way to make that happen, which is it. I honestly, I think Alicia said everything that there is to be said, but I'm having the greatest time meeting you guys. It is so cool because, like, as far as I can tell from my sample size of meeting people at expos and in these one-on-ones, every single one of you is as neat as I am or neater. And you've got so many cool things about you. And I'm like, I feel so blessed that I'm getting to meet you. It's the best thing ever. Jason, this just made me smile.
Yeah.
So,
don't we just tell?
Yeah, well, maybe I'll give a little background on Jason, and then yeah, you can, because you were actually the one having the conversation. But when I go to expos and stuff, like, I have such a good time talking to you guys. And sometimes Jason has things that he needs me to actually be doing while we're there. And I'm just like talking to people, even people that don't come up to me. Like, sometimes I'll just see that they have a really awesome reptile that they just bought, and I'll start talking to them, and I'll talk to them for much longer than Jason thinks is appropriate. And but like, I love talking to you guys, and Jason finds it absolutely baffling how I could just walk up and chat with people about these things just anywhere at any time. But Alicia and Jason were talking about these meetings with you guys, and this is how it went.
Well, real quick before I explain how it went, Amar just said, book that meeting. Clint is as awesome in person as he is on your screen.
Amar, you were so great. I had such a good time meeting you. Plus, Amar is a fascinating person because he, hopefully it's okay that I'm sharing a little bit of well, and a little bit of his life, but like he grew up the first part of his life in Pakistan, and then now he lives in Ireland, and he's been there for a long time, and he is capable of throwing out, you know, probably. I didn't ask him to do a Pakistani accent, but he does an amazing Irish accent. He did that on command for me. But then talking to me, like, if he would have said he was in California, I'd have been like, yeah, Amar just lives in California. Like, I wouldn't have been like, except he talks like an Irish guy. There was none of that. You know, he had like a perfect American TV accent. He says he kind of conforms to whatever accent he's around. And anyway, it was so fascinating. But then he was willing to do a really good Irish accent for me, which filled my life with joy. Anyway, sorry.
So Jason and I were chatting, just figuring out some details with the virtual presentations and things. And Jason said, if we thought Clint's personality was perfect for doing YouTube videos, we didn't realize what we had in store with these virtual presentations. His personality is perfect. And I said, I know, Clint often talks to me about how Jason would not like just chatting with people about who knows what. And Jason's like, no, it just would not happen. It would not happen. So, and Jason doesn't talk like that. Would not happen.
No.
That's Leisha interpretation of Jason.
It made me laugh though.
Luke Kruger says, please say South Africans are rad. Please, please, please.
Oh, South Africans are totally rad. Now let's see. One of my really good friends from high school, she actually grew up in England, but her mom's from South Africa, and she was always super fun to talk to. And actually, wait, scratch that. When I worked in Africa at Disney's Animal Kingdom, she's not even my closest friend. Like tons of my friends that worked there were from South Africa, because Disney actually like employs people from the countries at the various places, and so there were a ton of people from Africa. They were almost all from South Africa. And they all spoke like 7 languages. Well, one of my friends there, she speaks 7 languages, and she thought it was no big deal because she has other friends that speak 11. I speak 2. I think that's a lot of languages.
That is a lot of languages. Johnny Fox, guitarist, sent a super chat. This should be the last one. We got to wrap it up. Hey guys, love you and what you're doing. Thank you, by the way, Johnny. I wish I had a question, but alas, smiley face.
Well, thank you guys so much. You're incredible, every one of you. I'm so grateful that you've been here to share this time with me. I'm so excited about the fact that I'm getting to meet you. Not to mention the fact that by doing that, we're saving the reptile room. And we're giving us the means to really make that dream happen. And thank you. Thank you so much for all that you do for us. We love you guys. We're grateful for you. I'm excited to see you next week. And as always, like and subscribe. Hope to see you real soon.